Good morning, everyone, and welcome to the European crossover webinar. And let's go and take a quick little look here. We are seeing the euro dollar basically flat-ish here. Let's go and see if we can bear with me. So we're just a gentle bit higher and really no movement. Look how tight this is. I mean, what is this range from 17 to 24? So basically, got a 25 pip trading range. I mean, it is tight. The range is tight as a drum. Bear with me. Take a look here now with the cable. And a little bit higher, but nothing of any real big, change or difference at this point. We're just basically very, very quiet. Just very quiet start to the week, I guess you can call it. We'll go in and take a look at what the economic data is coming out. Well, we don't have anything until wholesale trade, which is Canadian data. We do have NAHB housing at 10 a.m. Eastern here in the States, but look at this, nothing here. So it is no data out, and we're trading relatively quiet. Tomorrow we will get German producer prices and Eurozone current account, along within the U.S. And once again, that's for tomorrow. Building permits, housing starts. And that will be it. So once again, like I said, very quiet start to the week. No data until we get Canadian wholesale trade at 8:30 Eastern, and then at 10 a.m. Eastern, housing, NAHB housing data. Switching over, we can go and take a look where we are on equity or indices. Irina says, what's your opinion on S&P and NASDAQ would be appreciated? Sure. Now, generally, I mean, I don't come in, once again, I always, it's good. Good question by Irina, but generally, I try to come in with an open idea of where the market wants to go, especially at the beginning of the week. I tell you what, I've had some not good calls. I mean, not good calls as far as not good trades when I tried to force something coming in on Monday, trying to impose what I think might happen. I usually kind of like let it happen. We do show, well, we sold them off here at the end of the week. See that? But this happened on the last hour. Or remember how the market was really dead, and then all of a sudden it broke. But you can see we had a pretty good rally back, and you can see right where they ran out of gas, 11.90, 9.35. I actually had a limit in Asia, but I thought we were going to hit it in Asia. So this dip, I'll show you. This dip is the surprising weak surprise data out of China, and that dropped it. So we came back. Now this is 2-day VWAP, but I had a limit. I think at the time I put it for 28, and then I moved it up to like 33, I think it was. But that was here, and so when I was hoping we could make that one more burst up in here, and we did. We ran out of gas. You can see we're pretty good dip. Well, once we started to break here, that's when I just canceled it. I was like, forget it. It doesn't look like he's going to be able to do it. And you can see they never did quite make it. But I know why. I mean, I can see why. Because like I said, right here, we got the surprise weak China data. We came right back, snap right back. And then we're only able to make it appear to 2-day VWAP. And then we just couldn't give it any extra juice. I was hoping we could. And originally, I think I had it like a 26 or 25, 27, something like that. They didn't make it there. And then I said, okay, maybe they'll have enough just to push it up here and then run a guess. And you can see right here, kind of had a confluence here. That was 29. And yeah, we made it here. But I mean, we haven't come off that much. You see what I'm saying? We're a little bit lower here now, but I want that to happen in here in this area. But anyway, that being said, we came off, and you can see here on a 2-hour chart, this is a key area right here. Pull this right here. You see that? I bounce back. There's 11,927. You can see the significance of here. Let's open it up. See, there's 11,927. But here's why I think you're gonna have to be careful. I think Blake even said that. I don't know if he said it. I think you did. Is you're gonna want to be very nimble. We are pulling back a little bit here. You're gonna be want to be very nimble as this week as we come into the closing in towards the end of the month. We're not there yet, but I mean, which means close to the election, because we have to see how the market wants to spin it. You can see here we came up here. Here's 2-day VWAP. I want us to jump up in here and then run out of gas. Now we're finally running out of gas, but once again, we kind of hung around. This was the thought that we could actually knock this out. Could even open the door for safe higher. So I did wake up when we were somewhere in here, and I thought to myself, I go, I'm not really interested in playing it, because if we do get another extended leg, it's a good area for them to move higher. And I think when I got up, I think it was already. I'm like, no, because if they take it up one notch higher, and we've already had a fail here from the 11,920, that's not. I'm not adding much. You see what I'm saying? Where they could trigger stops. Now they are dipping a bit here, but like I said, I've done that. Generally, I would go with a play like that, but I've done that on a Monday where I jump in too soon, and then all of a sudden it keeps on going. That's what I'm trying to say. And you can see here, we'd already made it up to 920. I wanted to come in right there. So for us to take it off, and look at this. This is a good close. That's another good close. Yeah, we're pulling back, but once again, like I said, I've been in that situation where I step in and then it just keeps going and goes some more. Now you got to come in on Monday morning. It's a fresh start, and we just keep going. So that's why I was looking at it from a percentage standpoint. I think that was a good area, but like I said, we had already come close, and they had a good opportunity here because of that weak China data. So I thought, well, they're probably going to go and slide then, and which eventually they did. So here's same day VWAP. For right now, I'm leaving it alone. I usually like to now try and come in. I try to be patient, I guess I'm trying to say, on Mondays, and let the cash open, and let's see what happens, because we did hit that late session sell-off on Friday. Do you think that it's now going to start to come down here? I just don't know. I mean, I'd rather come in, let the market do the talking, because we are coming up. We're getting close now to a big event, which is the U.S. election. As far as the stimulus talks, Pelosi gave a 48-hour time limit for them to come up with a deal so that she can she can help push through. I think that's more politics because it's not going to get resolved. But once again, it's just a matter of how does the market want to play that. So after this dip, maybe they push up a little bit higher. Like I said, I don't want to come into the cash open short here thinking, oh my God, why did I short it when it was just a little bit higher? Then we take another leg, and before you know it, now we're up here, which isn't a whole lot higher. And I'm trying to see if they push it even further. I'm like, no thanks, I'll pass. Probably a lot of gobbledygook, but that's what I just want to go and share. Let's take a look at the S&Ps. Basically the same thing here. Look at that. Very close here. Same thing you're playing out in the S&Ps. We'll take a look at gold. Similar in a way. Similar. I'm just saying we're trying to make this move higher. Crude oil, you know how I feel about crude oil. Sometimes, like I said, it seems like it'd be a good market to trade when stuff may not be moving, or you can't find or feel like you have a definitive opportunity. But remember, we talked about that. It'll just sit there, then it drops, then it comes all the way right back up in your face. You know, I mean, it's just a lot of rhyme, not a rhyme or reason, which drives you bananas. You know, so we come up here, which trades unlike most other markets. You come up here, all right, we stopped them. Then you drop all the way back up. Okay, then you come back. Okay, so faked out some people. Then we should shoot lower. All we do is we dip a little bit more, and then we're back in the middle doing nothing. And that just drives me bananas because there's no rhythm to it. Is what I'm trying to say with the crude. Not any rhythm, at least far as what I can go and see. We've addressed that before. So anyway, looking back here with NASDAQ, you can see here 11,927. Frustrated that didn't happen in Asia, which I thought was going to be a good area for them to come to. You can see I've even highlighted this, but you can see how we came up short there. And I had no interest in coming in now after we just take this out and a solid close here that would open the door or bode for this to come up higher, and I wasn't going to play that. So from a percentage standpoint, and also being a Monday, it just wasn't a trade that I was going to be interested in. So with that, we'll go on and cover the news quickly. I hope that kind of gives an idea, and really has a lot to do with it being a Monday morning, a start of the week, and we already had a pretty good reaction on Friday. And like I said, we are coming into the election. At this point, it's going to be a matter of, I think we kind of, like I said, from the prior week, remember we had that strong rally, and then we came into the Apple event, and we also had Prime Day, and we saw long liquidation and the dip. And so I think we're kind of neutral in a way. And now it's a matter of how the market wants to find a narrative as we go towards the election. I think that they're not going to get the stimulus talk, but the whole thing is we keep building into this blue wave thing. The polls continue to show Biden a strong chance. I was actually watching the news regarding polls, and I used to be into politics as far as a fan. National politics, couldn't give a rat's whatever for local, but I saw one service, they're doing the thing of polls and polls. And it's a complete difference from 2016. I'll hurry and wrap it up. Is the reason you can believe the polls, whatever, because once again, Biden's not Hillary. There's some people that wouldn't have voted for her to save their life. It's completely different now. We're seeing unbelievable early voting. I saw where Texas has already voted. 43% of last year's voting has already been done in the early voting, and we still have until October 30th. So this whole thing about the blue wave continues to build up, and the whole idea is if Blake addressed that in his more weekend video. If that's the case, then you'll see more spending, which is going to be more bullish for the market. So anyway, enough of that. Pound lingers above 10-day lows as Brexit talks enter a crunch week. The British pound held above a 10-day low on Monday as investors cut their holdings with British and European negotiations scrambling to salvage post-Brexit trade talks. Boris Johnson said on Friday there was no point to continuing talks and it was time to prepare for a no-deal exit when transitional arrangements end on December 31st, while the European Union said Britain needs to give ground. EU chief regulator or chief negotiator can't even talk. Michael Barnier had been due in London for talks with British counterpart David Frost. Instead, they will now speak by telephone on Monday to discuss the structure of the talks. With only 11 weeks to go to the end of the transitional period, Berenberg economists estimate the probability of the hard Brexit as much as 50%, with both sides taking steps to soften the blow of the respective economies. We thus have to watch carefully the risk that either side blinks, and in the end, the two sides finally part ways without a delay, said in a trade note. Against a broadly steady US dollar, the pound edged 2 tenths higher, 29.36 above the October 7 low of 28.60 hit on Friday. And against the euro, the pound weakened to 90.49 pence. And Asian currencies edge higher as China rebound gathers steam. Asian trade exposed currencies inched higher on Monday as China's rebound from the COVID-19 pandemic stayed on course last quarter. Even as caution about the U.S. election outcome, kept the U.S. dollar supported. Let me see here. China's GDP numbers came in slightly below expectations, but the monthly data showed there's no reason to be overly pessimistic, said Yushiko Shimamini. China's economy remains on the recovery path, so the data came out weaker, but I guess they're trying to discount that. The dollar was broadly stable elsewhere. The yen steady at $5.40. Vain hopes that the Democrats and the White House could agree on a new spending program was tempered by the opposition of Senate Republicans, and as investors focused on where the election outcome means for stimulus later. We talked about that. 15 days out, see, a victory by Joe Biden was seen as weakening the dollar, and I do believe that because you'd be seeing that spending, so you'll probably see the dollar fade once we get past the election. If we do see that blue wave, something to keep in mind on 15 days from the election, Biden lead Trump by about 10 points in national polls and has a narrow lead in several battleground states. The pair are due to face off in a final debate on Thursday. Markets will be attentive to any potential shifts in polls. I just don't see that happening, folks. I just don't. It's already late. Main risk for the markets will be a tightening in polls, which would reduce the likelihood of a large Democratic fiscal stimulus package and could raise the likelihood of a long contested election. Folks, it's just not happening. I'm just telling you, it's not in the cards, and that's why things are so much different from where the market could miss a pulse. Last year, one of the things they focused on was that the margin of error, we're well outside the margin of error on all the polls except for one of them, and there was a second one, but that second one, there that poll ended like on August the 8th. So out of 10 polls, or it was 11 polls, all of them were in Biden's favor, um, except for one. And of all those, only two, I mean, two of those were, all except two were outside the margin of error. So they're well beyond. So even if they're wrong and you bring it in the margin of error, he's still ahead. So I just don't see that changing. So enough of that. Just want to give the 2 cents there. And it doesn't matter what the politics are. I'm just telling you is that you want to look at it objectively, whether you're for one side or the other. You do want to look at it objectively to say, oh wow, this could happen, or that's happening, or I'm seeing this shift. I'm just telling you is that a lot of people will refer to 2016. Oh, the polls got it wrong, and that I watched. I think it was 3 different poll shows on YouTube, and the key thing is, as I mentioned, is it was a completely different situation. And also the key thing is, if you want to just look at the black and white, is that the the leads are out well outside the margin of error. So even if they're wrong, you bring it in the margin of error, it's still leading. So you just don't see it. So anyway, let's go and move on to the analysis. So take a look here with the euro. So Euro took a pause at the end of the week. There's an opportunity to flush longs to 1658, support with resistance at 1759. Onto the cable. Cable once again found support at 2878. You can see right here. Support to start the week will be 2843 with resistance at 2983. Oh, wow, we're right just above it. So 2843 and 2983. We're actually above it right now. If they kept on pushing, it'd be 3025 you'd be looking at. Actually, right now, it'd be right there, 3014, if they want to push beyond that. But I'm not going to change it. I did have that extraordinarily tight, but it is what it is. I have a 2983. We are trading at 2989 right now. Let's go move into the Aussie. Aussie continues its downward draft to finish the prior week. Support will be 70.38 with resistance at 71.29. Moving on to the Kiwi. Now, once again, we've been trading in such a tight range. There isn't a need really to elaborate on any of this. If I saw something, I definitely would elaborate. But for the last, all the way since last week, it's been very, very quiet. We saw one quick dip here, but you can see it's still within a very tight range. So there's not a whole lot to elaborate other than, here's a resistance unless I see something like significant, but we're just simply not seeing. Like here, you had something where, wow, they keep pushing that we're coming to this key area, blah, blah, blah. And obviously, when it broke, how much was it fall through? Right now, we're just dead in the water since last week. So, I mean, it's just a matter of the levels, and that's it. I mean, don't mean to be vanilla about it, but that's what it is. I mean, we're just not moving in a range. It's just like, what are the levels? So the Kiwi stabilized at the lows at the end of the week. You can see here, we took that dip. We just sat there. The pair will find resistance at 66.39 with support at 65.66. Onto the CAD. So the dollar CAD shrank from an opportunity to close the week at new highs. Support will be 31.57 with resistance at 32.68. And a little bit wider range on this one. Still bearish. Onto the peso. Dollar peso will be retested the 2107 level to end the week. Support to start the week will be 2091 with resistance at 2134. Look how quiet. Look, I mean, this market is almost not even moving. Look at that. On to the dollar yen. Dollar yen, unlike many of the other majors, is stuck in a quagmire. The resistance on Monday will be 573 with support at 506. The dollar index is attempting to move higher without much success. Resistance for the week will be 94.34 with support at 93.34. And same thing with the dollar CAD, just giving a little bit of extra room. And I would imagine that the election does have a lot to do with it as people are getting, I guess they're starting to pull in their bets a little bit. Cost rates. QEN has remained in a 100 pip range over the last 2 weeks. Resistance to start the week will be 70.13 with support at 69.11. This is bullish, but it really isn't bullish. Let's just go range at this point. On to euro pound. Boy, this market is dead. I mean, dead in the sense that there's just no. Look at this. The euro pound has spent the prior week up down with failed challenges of 91. Resistance for the week will be 91.32 with support at 90.15. Look at this. Down, up, down, up, down. And then it started a week down. Looking here with Euro odd. Okay, Euro odd finished the week challenging the weekly level of 65.81 with the idea of a weakening Aussie. Remember, we got the looks like the RBA maybe potentially doing a little bit of extra pull on that and taking extra steps. I mean, so suggesting that we are going to slide in the Aussie. So the Euro Aussie actually made a run up in here. Resistance will be 66.12. I'm thinking if they can pop beyond that with support at 64.72. But we're gonna have to get above that before we can turn bullish. That's where we still have it set up as range. Euro Kiwi. Euro Kiwi saw a turnaround at the end of the prior week. You can see that. First challenge for the bulls will be 78.09 with support at 76.72. This one, you can see why I had it, but it's really range. You see what I'm saying? If you look over the last week, we've just been stuck in the range, so we have to switch that to range. And Aussie yen. So the Aussie yen came under a deluge of selling when compared to the overall quiet prior week in FX. You can see here, let's go on and pull this back for some perspective. So you can see here, compared to what we've seen over the and everything else in FX, this was a pretty good sell-off here. So I said when compared to other markets, other FX pairs, it was a deluge of selling to an overall quiet week in FX. Support for next week will be 72.24 with resistance at 75.23. So things are pretty quiet right now, but we could break. That's wrong. I put 72.24. That is not correct. That should be 74.24. So that's an error right there. That should be 74.24. And resistance 75.23. And to the guppy. Guppy took a dip on Friday, clearing stops. The pair found bids ahead of the weekly level of 32. I don't know, 35.26. You can see that. Support will be 35.47 with resistance at 36.70. And we're just above that 36.70 right now. 35.27 or 35.47 meant to say, and 36.70. And lastly, with the Sterling odd. So the Sterling odd closed the week on a strong note, just under the resistance of 82.54. Resistance will be 83.19 with support at 81.72. $83.19. And this is actually bullish. And there we have it. And that's going to be it. And that's, as I mentioned, a quiet start to the week. And the euro just overall quiet. A little bit higher, just a bit higher. That's all we have. We'll see you in the chat room, and thanks for joining us for the start of a relatively quiet week.